Hello. Sorry for the late submission. I didn't get home until 11:30ish p.m. tonight from work, so I'm just trying to knock this out now before the due date. Uh, Luckily, I did manage to write down my answers to most of the questions before I left this afternoon, so I think we're just gonna read through them. How was his introduction? Did he do anything to captivate you? It looks like I wrote about he started the speech portraying this very strong sense of like humility, I guess. He was very humble. Like he was like, "Oh, thank you, and what an honor this is." Uh, and also going into like how much of an honor and how unlikely it was that he was doing what he was doing where he was given his background. And I was like, it was like cool. I wasn't too into it. The first part of the speech that like caught my attention was when he made the joke about Kansas, and he was like, "I'm not doing it. Oh no, uh, Kansas is the other side of the country," or whatever he said. And then he like did a small laugh and paused to let the audience laugh, and did like that little. I thought that I kind of it made me chuckle a little bit. That was pretty charismatic. Uh, how did you feel like he spoke, or did you feel like he spoke from his heart? How could you tell? It was hard to tell for me. Uh, and I don't know if it's because I was born in 2004 when this I think a little before this was recorded, but you know, ever since I've been able to form long-term memories, he was the president for like 8 years, almost the majority of my life now. Uh but his speaking to me in this and kind of always seems very well rehearsed. Like he thinks about what he's gonna say a lot before he says it. And it gives a sense of like confidence, but with how intentional it usually feels, it's kind of hard to tell what he truly believes, you know? It doesn't really matter, I guess. If yeah. Did he appear to be organized and prepared? How could you tell? Yeah, it was very well organized. The speech kind of flowed from section to section to section, and it felt like it was all like specific points. He started with like his upbringing, and then he would kind of jump like, oh, this guy's running for president, and then he'd go back into more like idealistic, very uh, heart catching kind of stuff. Yeah, it sounded like he knew what he was saying. He wasn't looking down at cards, so I imagine he memorized everything he was gonna say, at least like bullet points, right? Yeah. Was his audience engaged? Yeah, very. They would cheer very loudly at the different moments, and they laughed at his little Kansas joke, and especially towards the end, you could really tell they were engaged when he like started getting louder and more kind of when he picked up his energy, so did the crowd, right? Like the applause started roaring. You know, what was the highlight of the speech for you? The end. The end is the only part I actually remember before this rewatch. I didn't remember all the stuff about like the guy who was serving in the military or about his upbringing and all that. I only remember the part where he was like super patriotic and about like uh the different states and in the red states and in the blue states. But it's a good. It's very. It makes my red blood start moving. You know, my American red blood. Uh, do you think he could have done anything to improve? Not really. Uh, it was weird hearing Obama advocate so hard for someone I'd never heard of. It's like that's guy's the president. Why is he saying all this about this Joe guy? Was his name Joe? I don't remember anymore, but it was kind of funny. But I don't think that's anything on his speaking ability, right? He was just not in a position to run for president. This kind of did though. I kind of put him into a position 4 years later. Overall, what is one thing you learned from him that can help you as a speaker? He uses his hands a lot. Like he was, there was this one like key thing that I like noted down in my head. Whenever he would be talking about like different locations, he was like, they are over there, and he would like go up and out. And then when he referred to like here, he'd be like down here, like almost like you're like holding something, kind of. I thought he would use his all of his hand movements made sense in the way that like people say that like 98% of communication is nonverbal. With him, it felt like it because his hands were always like he was always emphasizing something with his motions, and it felt very effective. It's also kind of captivating. It's like it kind of draws your attention, all that motion and all that. Yeah. What else was there that I learned from watching him? I think there was one more thing. I'm trying to remember. Mm, I can't remember right now, so I'm gonna end this video. Oh, damn, 5 minutes.